In this video, we're going to explore a trend that's getting a lot of attention in the media. The rich are building extensive underground shelters. Do they know something that we don't? Or are they seeing the same fragilities and fault lines in the world that you and I do and are reacting appropriately? I'm going to clue you in on a few examples of emergency retreats being built by the super wealthy, explore a little bit of what they know that we don't, and then tell you what you could and should be doing today. Should we be building our own bunkers? Or is that even possible? There's at least one country where an in-house emergency shelter is the law. Also stick around as I reached out to Ron, Atlas Survival Shelter's owner, to provide insight into why people are buying bunkers from him.
Why are all the celebrities and the wealthy people building bomb shelters like the ones behind me? Well, I'll tell you what they tell me.
Download the Start Preparing Survival Guide to help you prepare for any disaster. I'll post a link in the description and comments section below, or visit cityprepping.com/get started for a free guide to help you get started on your journey of preparedness. Bunker islands. Several prominent billionaires, including Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Oprah Winfrey, Richard Branson, and Larry Page, they've all invested in extensive parcels of land on islands. Now, this trend has captured public attention. And what adds to the intrigue is the revelation that many of these estates boast underground passageways leading to fortified bunkers, hinting at a fascination with security and preparedness among the elite. Now, the ultra-rich build and own high-tech underground shelters, not necessarily because of some rumored end-of-the-world situation, but simply because they can afford to do so. Now, these facilities are designed to keep their families safe and allow them to continue to live during natural disasters, civil unrest, or warlike situations. And while some theorize that billionaires know of an upcoming apocalyptic event, the reality is likely more pragmatic. Rather than some organized awareness or plan on their part, it's more likely stemming from the uncertainty about the future that we all feel. Mark Zuckerberg's ranch in Hawaii has a large underground space, but it's just one part of the $400 million under construction building. Now, the ranch also includes farms, cattle feeding areas, breweries, and other elements that create a private, self-sustainable ecosystem. And many expensive properties on Hawaiian islands follow a similar concept, combining underground shelters with organic food production, forest, water reserves, and more. Larry Ellison, the billionaire co-founder of Oracle Corporation, purchased in 2012 nearly 98% of an island in Hawaii, which amounts to 87,000 acres of the island's total 90,000 acres. His reported purchase price was $300 million. Ellison has since made this island his home and has been working to turn it into a wellness utopia through his company. Now, in a situation where society is breaking down, it's not likely any marauding mob would traverse the 68 miles of ocean between Honolulu and his island by commercial or charter flight, ferry, or an armada of boats. Even larger islands that are more isolated from the world by their location are planned bug-out locations. New Zealand has become a sought-after destination for affluent figures from Silicon Valley and other wealthy foreigners seeking a potential safe refuge. And though rumors abound regarding the existence of secret bunkers, concrete evidence remains elusive. High-profile individuals such as a billionaire venture capitalist Peter Thiel and former NBC News anchor Matt Lohr have probably acquired properties in the country. Now, the appeal of New Zealand lies in its stability, its breathtaking natural landscapes, and relative seclusion, making it an enticing choice for those wishing to escape the uncertainties of the global landscape. Bunkers and bomb shelters today. The latest trend in bunker building and island retreats aren't exclusive to the billionaire set. They are becoming a trend throughout the United States, and current trends reveal a growing interest in prepping culture, with individuals actively making preparations for potential catastrophic disasters, ranging from natural calamities to continued pandemics and ever-increasing civil unrest. And as hostilities escalate between nuclear powers, many are recognizing that a new Cold War is afoot with the same atomic threat as a final end game. Now, this surge in preparedness stems from rising anxiety and uncertainty fueled by global pandemics, extreme weather, political instability, and misinformation campaigns that are creating anxiety and fostering distrust and conflicts worldwide. And as a result, companies specializing in bunkers and survival shelters have experienced a significant uptick in sales, with some reporting spikes of up to 1,000% in inquiries and purchases. Now, buyers often view these bunkers as short-term solutions against existential threats, seeking refuge in private shelters provided by companies like Atlas Survival Shelters, which we'll hear from in just a moment. Now, these custom-built bunkers, crafted with thick plate metal, offer varying price ranges from tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars, accommodating clients' resources and needs. In the global context, Recent events such as Russia's war on Ukraine, Iran's continued refinement of uranium, North Korea's seemingly endless missile threats, and China's continued expansionism and record of conflict in the South China Sea have really underscored the importance of personal protection during crisis. Many realize how globally connected we are, how lightning-fast situations can flare up into global conflicts, and how fragile our peace and security really are. And while countries like Ukraine maintain thousands of publicly accessible bomb shelters, the United States has relatively few due to historical differences in defense infrastructure investment. Now, despite the decreasing prevalence of public shelters, private individuals continue to invest in bunkers and shelters driven by various factors, including anxiety, uncertainty, and the pursuit of personal safety during these tumultuous times. What do they know that we don't? The super rich don't necessarily have any insider information, and they're not all pulling the strings in unison of some conspiratorial plan, but these are people who want to protect their acquired wealth. Now, these people want to leverage their resources to ensure that they have what they need and want, even when conditions make a turn for the worse. But make no mistake about it, though, they do have more information than the average Joe, and their investments force them to have a more global vision of the world than someone might have in small-town USA. But both people realize a few common trends and characteristics. First, the last several years have shaken up the very foundation of the world and made us all realize the base was never that stable. And a global pandemic forced us into lockdowns and slammed the brakes on economies, commerce, and wealth creation for everyone everywhere. And this led some to speculate that the super rich wanted to keep people home, docile and enslaved. Now, that doesn't really make a lot of sense because a population locked in their homes doesn't generate any wealth for them. It just creates a highly agitated population. But more realistically, they, you, and I realize that what we thought was incredibly stable, our food supply, transportation, commerce, and security, was pretty fragile. Now, second, we have all witnessed the rise in ransomware attacks, seizing vital computer systems, sometimes crippling our infrastructure. And the resulting panic buying and hoarding activities gave everyone a glimmer into the true nature of man. But third, there's a clear conflict between the forces of Russia, China, Iran, and the aligned West. And that hasn't bubbled over entirely yet, but it's raging enough that we now have conflict zones in Ukraine, Israel, Syria, and the South China Sea. There's a weekly threat to the use of nuclear weapons from more than one nation. And add to this the natural disasters that we see worldwide with greater frequency and intensity, and it's clear to see how they, like us, see the world as increasingly more unstable by the day. All that taken together, they aren't privy to any secret information as much as they, like you, are astute observers of the fragility of our modern age. We are too dependent on some systems prone to failure, and there are too many possible causes of failure. And with each observable instance of this, we see the governments tend to be reactive rather than proactive. So there's less and less faith that they will be able to rush in and reestablish order or save the day. Save yourself. So the rich, semi-rich, and resourceful aren't privy to some insider information. They realize two things. The world continues to be increasingly more and more unstable, and governments do a pretty poor job of protecting and rescuing their citizens when disasters occur or citizens and infrastructure is attacked. And the exception may be the government of Singapore. In 1997, with the passage of the Civil Defense Shelter Act, all new buildings and houses there were required to be provided with emergency household or shelters, which were basically bomb shelters. This legislation was prompted by the realization of the urgent need for secure spaces during rapidly escalating attacks, as recognized by the Singapore Civil Defense Force. Now, inspired by the imperative to safeguard citizens during emergencies, the law aims to bolster the safety and preparedness of Singaporeans by ensuring that every new residential property includes a designated shelter. Now, these shelters serve as crucial protective measures against various threats, including potential terrorist attacks or other emergencies, providing occupants with a secure refuge to seek safety and protection. Now, I don't see any other governments moving in that direction, so I would encourage anyone to hold off while they wait for the government incentive or tax break. Now, most people lack the finances, the land rights, and permits to buy and install a prefabricated bomb or protective shelter. There are many considerations when building a shelter, but quite a few detailed instructions and plans are available online, some dating back to the 1950s. Even without purchasing a prefabricated option, the internet is filled with plans for root cellars and storm shelters, which could afford you temporary protected emergency shelters. So let's hear from Ron of Atlas Survival Shelters, in which he explains why the wealthy are buying shelters from him.
Hey guys, I'm Ron here at Atlas Survival Shelters. Chris from City Prepping sent me a question, and his question is, why are all the celebrities and the wealthy people building bomb shelters like the ones behind me? Well, I'll tell you what they tell me. They may have $100 million in the bank, but they know in the blink of an eye, we could be hit with a cyber attack or an EMP, and they can't access their money. And then when that happens, that's when they call shit hits the fan. Then they're going to pretty much go down into their bunker. So they want a safe place to take their family. They want to get out of the turmoil that's going to be above ground. And the only way to do that is either go to another planet, go beyond South America, or go into a bunker. And that's what they're choosing, is to put a bunker in the backyard of their house. And then they go buy 100 acres and they put a bunker out there too. So the wealthy are buying multiple bunkers, not just one bunker, but several. Bill Gates, matter of fact, has 11 bunkers. And I did an interview with him, like 5 years ago, right before the COVID. And his exact words were, I worry about a pandemic greater than Ebola in my lifetime, but I don't worry so much about nuclear fallout. So take it for what it's worth. But if the rich are doing it, maybe you should do it too.
I'll add a link to Ron's YouTube channel below if you want to check it out in the description and comments section. Now, the rich do know something most people don't. The world is unstable because they can see it at a level that most of us can't, and they're often privy to information that, again, we are not. They realize the future is uncertain. The rich are getting serious about preparing because they're worried about the future. They're buying up land, energy sources, and survival gear, signaling that they just don't trust things to remain stable. We should pay attention because they're basically saying, get ready for anything. Stocking up on food, water, power, and medical supplies is not just for them, it's for all of us. They know being prepared is crucial, and we should as well. Like them, you should be building stability and security in your life, whether that's fortifying your home, prepping food and water, creating your own storm or root shelter, or simply having an effective and thorough disaster plan. You should be doing something rather than passively blow with the winds of future instability. Check out our video on surviving the first 90 days after a massive disaster here on the side of the screen to understand what you can be doing now to build a more stable future for yourself. As always, stay safe out there.